Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Economic Analysis. I am Dr. Stephen Myers, and I will be facilitating your study throughout this course. And the first thing I want to comment on is the idea that economic analysis is indeed a level of study that requires you to solve problems, not memorize. So I know a lot of students, especially students who are not majoring in economics, will think of a course as an elective, and there's not a lot of work to be done. And work in this class is very essential for you to be through it, because we're trying to learn principles that will allow you to solve problems. Memorization isn't going to help you. I just want to start with that right away. Now, the next thing I want to comment on is the fact that I call it economic analysis, but the title is Introduction to Economic Analysis. And I do that for a couple of reasons. One, well, it's just shorter title. Two, economic analysis is different than just saying, hey, this is a survey of economics, or we're doing a high level overview of economics. That's not what this course is designed to be. In fact, this course was originally designed quite some decades ago to combine both Economics 201 and Economics 202, microeconomics and macroeconomics, into a one semester offering. And that level of student, typically an engineering or a mathematical student, was thought to have such a higher level of acumen that course without a lot of issues. In other words, they can do 2 semesters worth of work in one. That's what you're coming into. Now, I'm not trying to drive you away. I think this has a nice pace to it, and I think you can accomplish it. In fact, the history of students going through this course is exactly that. But one of the things we're going to focus on in this course is not to try to indoctrinate you with certain ideas, that this idea or that idea is better. We're going to use evidence and economic principles to help you protect yourself against other economists and against politicians and against media. You're going to be able to learn at a level that's going to let you figure out what is correct. And we're going to do that by taking an evidentiary basis in this class. We're going to look at evidence as well as the theory and to see how all of this works out. Now, at the end of this course, I'm going to offer you an opportunity to buy this book. You can buy it at any time. You can search for it. You can find it online. It's not terribly expensive. It has a great value in the sense that it has no graphs and no mathematics. In fact, no images at all. It's a great book to throw on a podcast and just listen, or, into a player that can actually just follow along. Well, Thomas Sowell also happens to be my personal favorite economist. And why? Because Thomas Sowell started out as a very liberal economist, indeed a Marxist economist, was working for the U.S. government, and in the process of that discovered economic principles and evidence, and has become quite a different economist. He's probably, as some have said, he is the greatest philosopher, living philosopher in the U.S. at the moment, and quite aged. He's all over YouTube. I really recommend him. But we're going to focus on some fallacies. Now, we're going to do that very much at the beginning of the class. Many economic fallacies, he says, come about because people think 3 things. One, they think the economy is a zero sum. If somebody wins, somebody must lose. That's absolutely not the case. And secondly, they tend to ignore the role of competition in the marketplace. That is, that here's the way we're doing it. Maybe it's a governmental solution. We only offer you one way to do this. There's no other possibility because we've got a monopoly on that, and we're doing it, and it's going to be great, and blah, blah, blah. Well, turns out by ignoring the idea of competition in the marketplace, we do not get prices driven down, we do not get efficiencies. So we're going to be thinking about a lot of that, because a lot of the fallacies come from ignoring this. Then often do not think beyond the initial concept. So I want to maybe take a policy. I want to give you a government payment. COVID's a great example. We wanted to give you some money for that, and we don't think beyond the consequences. And when we don't think the long-term consequences and we focus only on the short term, we set ourselves up for grave error. And you'll see a great bit of this coming in this course. So when you think about an economist of the intellect of Thomas Sowell, one of the things he says here is for those who are willing to stop and think. And this is a course in learning how to think, how to be logical, how to proceed, this in a way that we can solve problems. Basic economics provides tools for evaluating policies and proposals in terms of their logical implications and their empirical consequences. In other words, fact-based, empirical, evidentiary tour through the logic of economics. And what does that leave aside? We're not going to talk about emotion. We're not going to talk about politics. We're not going to talk about opinion and what you want the world to be as opposed to it happens. Now, give you a little bit of introduction myself. I taught economics for 41 years as a faculty member. I retired 3 years ago. I did first data science seminar at the University of Akron. So because economists do indeed put the science, data science, been that way since economics was founded, and especially since let's say the 1950s, the mathematical revolution in economics started in. And that happened because about that time we started having data. A little hard to do mathematics without data, but economics has always been very logic based. I'm very involved in scouting. I love my scouting work. My wife is involved with me in that, and you can see us there. And I won't bore you, but I've got 6 adorable grandkids, and those are my first. Coffee. Can't coffee. And SAS, if you don't know about SAS, tremendous software program. University offers it. Learn how to use it. Tremendous. And there's 2 books in the course. First one is our second, and we're going to use our second book first. Why didn't I put it as number 1? Simply because we're going to use it for a week and then we're going to set it aside. But I bet that this will have an impact on you. A few others read. So week 1, you're going to read a few chapters in this and you'll see the assignment. And by week 1, I mean starting this Wednesday of the first week, and it's due Tuesday. What is due? Well, the course, and you'll find out it is. But we're going to learn about economics in one lesson. And Henry Hazlitt, look at when he wrote, 1946. And we're going to find this book really still relevant because it's not about current events. It's not about modern things. It's about principles and evidence, in particular economic fallacies. And he reduces all of economics down to one sentence. Not just one lesson, one sentence. And I want you to experience that in one of the very first modules. But then our primary part of this course is going to be based upon a free textbook for you. Although this year, for the first time, I've noticed that they have a full color printed version available at Amazon. You can search for it and go out and buy that as a physical book, but it's free. They're both free. I don't believe in putting a lot of cost on you other than the cost of learning, and that's up to each of invest that or betterment. But this is a tremendous book. It's part of the OpenStax process. If you don't know about that, it's part of trying to put good information into students' hands without having to pay for version. This course was based upon the 8th edition economics book by Parkin. It was a tremendous book. I used it for a lot of years. But the last time I went and priced it, it was about $360. This one's free. You're welcome. Now, this course is not a online version of something that we had to do because the pandemic came in. In fact, it was the first online course at the University of Akron. We hard fought to put this in, and we did so back in 20. Now, no meetings are required. It is literally 100% online. If your scores are low as we process through, we may have to meet, but I favor email meeting intervention, but sometimes we may have to do an online conference. And if you're going to contact me, the primary contact is my email, and the primary way to contact me is through what we call the learning assessments, and I'll talk about those as we through. But this is really important. I get so much email because of this course, hundreds and hundreds of responses from students, and that plus all the other stuff and junk I get in my email. You need to always use in this tag in your subject line. It's real easy, E244 www online course, right? Fall 2023, and use your UANet ID, your email, and that's going to be the best thing. We will meet by MS Teams if indeed we need to do that, and never use my office phone. I probably haven't answered for years because I told them to take it out. So I don't use it. I'm not going to answer, call the university operator and say, hey, what's Dr. Myers' number? Ain't going to work. Contact me by email. I'll be on every day, 2 days at the most. We're going to have weekly formal contact points. One of the problems with online courses, it becomes one in isolation, and you're on your own and you don't know what to do. Every week you're going to be contacting me. You're going to be contacting me by these learning assessments, and you're going to have 3 writing assignments to the course, not in addition to other requirements such as all the modules. This course is available to you 24/7. Obviously, you can work ahead. There are deadlines, and they are strictly enforced. The due dates are every Tuesday. Now, I'm not sure when you're watching this, but the first Tuesday of week 1 is your first assignment. Expect me to annoy the heck out of by emailing, because a lot of students think, well, I'm not really going to get into this until after Labor Day. We're going to work here. You're going to be sadly behind if you try to do that. So Module 1 doesn't take you long, a few hours maximum. And it just makes sure you're set up for it and you understand. You listen to things like this lecture you found where? In Module 1. Okay, and then we're going to have the essay on Hazlitt due Tuesday. Now, how do you work your way through the course? And I know it's very flexible and you can hit different things to find out what's going on. And there's that course schedule here that will get you there. And I don't really know how reliable that is. My recommendation is this. Go to content, click on content, and then start reading down. The very first thing you see is Module 1, and it shows here course introduction. I always try to put information here at the front that says what you're covering so that you know what's coming, and I explain some other things. If we go to the next set of links, there's a lot of links that continue. So you're looking at lecture 1.1 right now. And I'm recording this new, so it may not be 21, so I hope it's shorter. And then there's another motivational video and some other things. Here's the syllabus links. Here are the 2 downloads for books. We go on. There's a note about assignments are due on each Tuesday. Why do I do this repetition? Because I will still have students later say, I didn't know things. We're going to talk about how the lectures are set up. The next audio lecture will be this one on how you make your way through this course. And then when we get to the very end, we're going to do a student learning assessment. I want to spend just a minute or so on this. Notice that you're looking at my screen. I don't know if you see all these conditions must be met. I kind of hope you do, but if you don't, you're not going to see this assessment, which is always the last in every module. You're not going to see it until you open all those links. That's not true in all the future modules. In this module, you have to look at everything. Now, when you do this, you must follow the instructions carefully. These are Word forms that you're going to download, and that's the first thing it says. You're going to open up this student learning assessment for Module 1. You click right there and download it. It's going to open up in a window, but download it. And you're going to download it to computer, and you're going to fill it out. And you must use MS Word. It's a Microsoft product, and you must use MS Word in order to form. Fill it out. When you're done, number 3, save it to your file. So you've downloaded it, you've filled out all the blanks, so really it's very hard to not do what you need to do. Save it to your computer with some name like Assessment 1 or something. You're going to have a bunch of these, so throw them all in a folder so you can find them and get back to them. And then email it to me as an MS Word attachment. A lot of students want to make that a PDF as well. PDFs are kind of cool and they preserve the way it looks and so forth, but it has to come back to me as a Word attachment or I can't evaluate. And when you email it, you use this actual subject because I have filters set up. It's going to grab all of your Module 1 assessments. It's going to put them in a file folder, and I'm going to be able to. Now, when you want to go through the course, there's a menu that goes across the top. Here's the menu. There's content, and you can look up your grades. And here's important dates, and you're going to see a file that looks just like this, and you're going to go down and you're going to say, what does that do for me? Well, among other things, it says that Module 1 is due Tuesday, August 29th, and it closes on September 4th, meaning you can't do it after that point. But if you don't do it by that point, you've got an essay due on the 5th, and here's Module 2B is due September 12th, and the closure date is Monday, September 18th, meaning that grace period is really not a time for you, it's a time for me, okay? And we'll talk more about that, but you have to hit the deadlines. There are 3 pressure points in this course. The first is that there's a very busy start to this class. A lot of people, as I said, might assume that it's not going to heat up until after Labor Day. Not true. There's a busy start at the beginning, and fall behind, you're going to have trouble catching up. Then in the second part of this is that just this long, steady routine. Everything's due on Tuesday. Every Wednesday you start a new module. Every Monday the previous opportunities close out. You can't go backward. All right, so that's the long, steady part of this. But then the next pressure point is at the end. You've got 2 things due on the same day during finals week, and that is the last module based on, or last quiz based on a module, and this module 15A. And what's module 15A? It is the final data project due the same day. Well, and you say, well, gee, you didn't give me much time. Yes, I did. You will see it when module 11 opens. You will see module 15A. It is a sizable enough project. Think of it as a term paper, but it's a data evidentiary paper that's going to start back about you're going to have about 4 to 5 weeks of time to work on it. Don't procrastinate, and that's the subject. The next video you're going to see is about procrastination. I recommend you think about it and you talk, because without developing a routine, this course will drive you crazy. You've got to have a routine. You've got to stay with it. If we were in class, your routine would be coming to class every Monday and Wednesday and then figuring out other times to study. You've got to create that routine, because I'm not doing it now. That's all I got for right now. I'll see you in lecture